Welcome to the 2021 Planner Project at Ann Arbor District Library, where we decided to experiment with making planners for the unplannable year. So we're just going to start by showing off what we made, and then we're going to discuss how we think these planners are going to help us as the year moves forward and things will probably get unpredictable. So I'm Emily, and I work on the events team at the Ann Arbor District Library.
And I'm Christopher. I'm in the youth department.
I'm Lauren, and I'm a desk clerk.
I'm Molly. I work on the events team as well.
Cool. Does anybody have a burning desire to show theirs off first?
I mean, I would, just to get mine out of the way, because it's not done. But I wanted to kind of give you an overview, and maybe in post-production, Emily, you can superimpose my finished project with everyone oohing and awing about it. So here it is. Okay, so just to explain what I thought to do, I got inspired by last year and drawing a lot of cartoons. So I have a big fat stack of them. I would just fold computer paper in half into little signatures or little booklets that later I realized were signatures for a bigger book. So yeah, there's just a lot of comics that I've drawn in these pages. And I thought, I would just like to do the same thing as we walk into 2021. So I'm going to do what I did before and then bind them into a book, which, as I said, it's almost done. And I'm going to show people back there underneath that heavy book and little work box are the covers to what will be my book. I can't obviously tell you how the project actually worked, but just to give you a sense of what I'm doing, I'm not looking for perfection out of this book. I really grabbed a piece of paper, a beautiful piece of paper that housed a Christmas gift. And I was like, this is not your normal, rinky-dinky wrapping paper. This is some heavier duty paper, and marbled paper at that. So I thought, I'm going to save that. I'm going to throw that onto my cover.
Lauren, are you binding blank sheets or your completed drawings?
I am binding. Good question. So for 2020, this stack is completely filled to the brim with craziness. I will be binding this since it's all done, 2020. But for 2021, I won't bind them all together until I find out how many signatures I have.
Right, got it.
Lauren, your project reminds me of, are you familiar with how Emily Dickinson bound her poems?
No.
So I don't even know if this word gets used anywhere else, but she wrote her poems out and she would put them in these hand-bound signatures that she called fascicles.
Ooh.
So, and she just had like many of them like hidden under her bed, right? They found them after she died. But yeah, so she bound most of her own poetry by hand. And so when you were saying that, I was like, oh, he's doing fascicles.
Oh my gosh, of course I had to look that up on my little dictionary computer. And yes, a separately published installment of a book or other printed work. And the second definition is a bundle of structures such as a nerve or muscle fibers or conducting vessels in plants. And it also reminds me of fascia, like the symbol of Rome, right? Or something, or law or something, where the sticks, individually can be broken, but together they house this like very powerful
there you go
axe head. So yes, I love it. Fascicles. Let's go with fascicles.
Cool.
I can't wait to see what it looks like in the end, like what your 2020 in retrospective looks like. I like the idea of like a really thick, and the idea that like you have like a concept that you're working on throughout the year, but that like you won't see the full, you know, you won't see it in its completion until like the following year. And it can kind of ebb and flow, and I don't know.
Exactly. This is like the anti-planner. This is like a hindsight is 2020 structure.
Thinking about a little bit about what Lauren just said about the anti-planner, I spent a good amount of time thinking about what I wanted my planner to potentially do. And so I like started by like making lists of different things that I liked about previous planners that I'd used, and realized that I really enjoy making lists. So I knew that had to be a component. I had to be able to make lists, and I needed to be able to like have some adaptability. So one of the journaling tools that I've enjoyed using in the past has been just like a regular old lined journal, but that has dots in it. The pages are dotted instead of lined. Some people call it bullet journaling. I'm not like an adherent to necessarily like all the bullet journaling kind of like rules or the ways to like set it up. And there's like a systematic approach to bullet journaling, and that's really cool. I wanted to borrow some of that system and then also like understand that like maybe the year wasn't going to be super planned out. For example, so I got this little journal. Another one of my things that I thought about that I wanted was I like journals that are like bendy. And because I like being able to like lay the pages flat, and I like the way I have a lot of like textural things that I like about journals. That's another thing. So like I like a bendy, you know, cover. I love it when there's a ribbon inside. I love it when there's a little pocket, because then I can like put, I don't know, some inevitable sticky notes that I might make in there.
Yes.
And I also really do love, you know, the rubber band type enclosure on top.
This is checking all my boxes too. This is exactly what you
I'm
need.
a sucker for a journal that has some aesthetic appeal. The other thing that I'm thinking about that I like about the dots, I think I really want aesthetic on this, was that one of my challenges that I had for myself for this year is to think about things in a circular way instead of necessarily a linear way. I think that I found in 2020 when, you know, we were so forced to like think day by day, you know, you weren't quite sure how the landscape was going to change, that like looking at things linearly didn't necessarily like help me feel a sense of like momentum or like progression. So again, that's a kind of a ethereal philosophical
No, I love it.
way of thinking about it. So I have like a little cover page inside that to like inspire me for the year, and I might draw more on this page, but I'm thinking about like the moon and nature and stuff like that. And then I took a couple pages to think through like what are some themes that I want to think about for the year. I had come across somebody who, instead of doing like a New Year's resolution, they think of like certain words that they want to like bring in with them this year. So I, you know, wrote some words that had some meaning to me. And then the other thing that I'm thinking about along the circular mindset is thinking about, so like I drew a circle of like the calendar year, and I have all the months in there. And then I color coded it by like 6-month periods. So, January, like thinking about things coming into fruition every like 6 months. So that's kind of like where my color coding is going. Yeah, I also wanted to the moon was also something that I'm thinking about. So I drew off of each month, like the date of the new moon and the full moon. That's another thing that corresponds with like 6 month periods, is like when the new moon or full moon comes in the same like astrological sign. But I'm not, going totally astrological on the journal, just fun fact. Normally, I would have if I had done something like this, I would have in a pre-2020 year, I might have like pulled off of each month something that like I knew I was going to be doing, like usually in the spring,
Sure.
I'll go visit some family or but I really just don't know when we'll travel or whatever. So that's why I went with the moon. And then like this is a bullet journaling thing. So you have like your month look, and then you might list all the days of the month, and then you could put like key things that are happening. So I went to do this for the month of January, and I looked at my calendar and nothing going on in January. Work stuff, obviously, but like we don't have doctor's appointments or anything going on this month, so I don't know what I'm gonna put here. And then so like bullet journals will do like this like month at a glance look, and then kind of like get deeper down into like the nitty gritty of the daily, here and there. So this is where like I made my list of things that I need to do for work, for home, for me. The next day I just like drew something. And then when you were talking about fascicles just now, another thing that I like love about this format is thinking about like maybe like I was saying about themes, other stuff that I want to like grow in for the year. So I watched this show Gardener's World you can watch it on Amazon Prime. It's a BBC show, and it's this gardener, this British gardener who, it's so peaceful, and like you just watch him garden, and you learn things about plants, and it runs from March through like November, I think. So I watched it like this was the first time I watched the whole season in 2020, and his vocabulary is so rich and just like interesting. I decided for this year I'm going to create a Gardener's World like dictionary of words. So so I'm adding different words to my list as I rewatch the season.
I love that
Beautiful.
circular approach, the cycles rather than linear time. That's such a genius way of thinking about a planner.
I'm like really curious to see like how my thinking changes over the course of the year. Like if, I don't know, I'm not sure. I feel like it will hopefully cause some sort of shift and way to like have some appreciation about the day to day, but also longer term. We'll see.
That's so cool. I mean, I feel like with your bringing up the gardener's vocabulary, I just have to mention, because it dovetails so nicely with some of the other ideas that are at play in your planner, this concept of like horticultural time. Like that's kind of where I see you're going with this.
And this I love that.
It's like the farmer's almanac.
Yeah, like I don't know, like noticing stuff like, oh, every 6 months there consists of a lunar cycle, and there may be some correlation there in the planting cycle or the seasons and harvest and whatever, planting. I mean, that's really interesting, and how, of course, we can think about how that's so jarring to, the modern ear of like, no, we plan stuff, right? Like we got like our to-do list, and that's what we do, and we work through time linearly or industrially, maybe, rather than horticulturally. Whereas, of course, there, like, stuff just sort of happens that's unscheduled or unplanned, or you just don't know the mysteries that do still insinuate themselves and or maybe impose themselves, or however you want to look at it, on our lives. And so I like that this planning approach that you have to the year sort of embraces that side of life. It's cool. Super cool.
It's beautiful.
I'm excited about it. I really like the horticultural. Thank you for sharing that, because I didn't really make that connection yet. And it's funny because the other thing about like the index that I like is that like I can number the pages, and if I need to quickly find something, I can just say, oh, I started my dictionary list on whatever page. I did make a page that was like about plants that I want to learn about growing from seed. So I can refer back to that, but thank you all for listening.
So cool.
So I feel a little extra on this one, because I ended up having 3 books, which was not actually my plan. So the first one is just a 2020 planner that I rebound. So it was a passion planner, and it just came with like this really plain black cover, and I got it really cheap because I bought it like in April or something, and I was like, I'm just going to renumber it. So basically I have started just going through, and so I just put washi tape on the dates from 2020 and just wrote in the new dates for 2021. And I've just done it like really, really simple, like literally just like crossing off the old days and just writing the new ones.
That looks really pretty though.
I came up with a color scheme that I like. So I do like color coding a lot. That really helps me look at my week. And yeah, so I'm just planning on using this for work and for personal stuff. And this is just like for time-based planning. So yeah, I bound it. Rebound it because I could in this nice Florentine paper, and I also used this paper on the inside for the end pages. This I got out of a magazine.
Cool.
So cool.
And
it perfectly fits, Emily.
Well, it does and it doesn't, because the binding didn't turn out super great actually. It was actually, I tried a new method of putting what is called casing in the book. So you've got your text block, and then you're putting the cover on it, which is the case. And as you can see, it's actually crooked because, and it's fine. Like I'm not super worried about it. It's still functional. But it actually was pretty difficult to get it to work. So, but it's like, I don't keep planners from year to year. So this is like a very low stakes. Like this is like to make me want to use it more. So then there's this one, which was not actually, I did not make it for this project. I made it for my niece. For her
birthday, how pretty.
And it
that
just
beautiful.
Thank you.
Did you marble that paper?
I did marble this paper.
That's so cool.
That's beautiful.
It's fine. It just didn't turn out the way that I wanted it to. So I was like, I just got her something else. But yeah, so this is my bullet journal, and my bullet journals are just like super, super minimal. They are not like, a lot of people on the internet are like really intense about making their bullet journals. They must spend like 5 hours a week just like laying the thing out and decorating it. And I'm like,
Emily, that's like how, I get, if I spent so much time like just decorating it, I wouldn't end up using it.
Exactly. So yeah, my bullet journal is just like really just very basic. And I started bullet journaling back in September, and I liked it. So I don't think this is gonna last all year. I think this is maybe gonna last like 4 months. But yeah.
Another question, because I haven't fallen down the bullet journal wormhole at all. I have no idea what it is besides what I can guess it is. Is it about bullet points?
Lauren, see, I would have totally pegged you as like the person who had been bullet journaling like from the very beginning.
Oh.
Maybe it's, I don't know.
I can't tell if that's a compliment or not.
It is. So basically the idea, yeah, it's like bullet points. It's like a short format. And you're basically just like recording pieces of information, you're recording to-dos, you're making notes, you're recording events, and just doing it in a very short format. So yeah, so that is the bullet journal. And then this is the weird one, which I love, but I actually don't really know what I'm going to do with it. So this little guy. So this is what I call my chunk journal. So this basically has 12 signatures in it. Each signature is wrapped in a different piece of decorative paper. And so there's one signature for each month. And at the end of it, I made this. I feel like there's almost no AADL TV video I've done that doesn't have the Turkish map fold. But so this is my word for the year. Cool. And then this is what I call like I don't have a really good word for it, like a life inventory. Basically, these are like all of like the parts of my life that are like important to me that I want to prioritize. And so I just like wanted to put this in the back of the journal just so that I could have a reminder. So I definitely like knew when I was making this, I was like, I know I want to make it this size. I know I want it to have this number of pages. I know I want to do this thing in the back of it. I know I want it to be bound this way. The really nice thing about this long stitch is that you can fold it in half. Really nice.
Nice. It's flexible. That would meet Molly's criteria.
Yeah, it lays flat really well. That's the great thing about long
No ribbon though. No rubber band.
God, no ribbon.
No.
Back to the drawing board. I'm
going to tell you right now, I just kind of broke up with the rubber band. I was like, I have never had a single book that's just like spontaneously flown open. That never happened to me.
But what if it did?
You know what? It's funny. The rubber band is more to me like I put it on and it's like, and we're done.
Yeah. It's like part of the ritual, right? Yeah. Did you get that idea of the other, like of doing it in groups of 12 from, is this an inspiration from any particular source, or did you just go for it?
I just decided, I was like, I knew that I just wanted to do a signature for each month. And that was really about it. So it's like I have this thing, which I mean, I really loved making it. It was a lot of work to put it together. I do not think that I will be making a long stitch journal that has 12 signatures in it again, because sewing this was really intense. Like my fingers hurt after I finished sewing this.
I bet.
But I think kind of what I plan to do is, so I have this thing, my little triangle, and which happens to fit perfectly. It is like half as wide and the length of one of these pages. And so that means I can like easily draw grids.
Nice.
And just draw lines and stuff like that. So that's part of the reason why I wanted to make this book the size that it is, because I can use this thing. And I also use this for bullet journaling. So I don't do a lot of lines and decoration at all in my bullet journal, but I do a couple of lines on each page just to keep everything organized. So yeah, this ended up the size that it is because I knew that I wanted to use this as a tool.
I'm gonna go grab my plastic triangle right now. Just
yes.
everyone has to have a triangle around them at all times.
You know, like bookbinding tools are really, they're so special.
It's already broke. I've ridden around with this in my backpack for so many years, but I just can't say goodbye to this clear plastic triangle. You can see it's well loved, but I love that idea of like being like, I've got this triangle and I want to use it optimally on my planner. So I'm just going to make a planner with those dimensions. That's it.
So yeah, anyway, I think what I'm going to do with this one, I really don't know at all what I'm going to do with the calendar. No clue. But I think I'm going to do kind of like this is going to be like the planner, the anti-planner, like you were saying, Lauren. I think this one is going to be more about like, this is what happened today, or like, here is my like profound thought or insight, assuming I have one, or a special image or whatever it is that I saw today. So that this one is more going to be that when I get to the end of 2021, I can look through this and like have a resource. And I also want to use it every day because I really do want to keep my word for the year and all of these things really close at hand where I can remember them.
So it has to be said that this is a somewhat psychological comment, so bear with me, but I'll try to make it brief. I get the sense, Emily, from what you've shown us, that there's just no scrap of paper left behind in your studio, which
it is so it
is really admirable, because I mean, if you look in my background, obviously that's the case for me. Look at my life. But you, I mean, let's just kind of view your room. There's beautiful embroidery hoops. It's all extremely clean and clear. Molly, you too. And there's just like, but just that tendency to, I'm not going to say hoard, I'm going to say save.
Yes.
Paper, no matter the size.
Yeah.
Coupled with your organizational ability, it's truly, it's a beautiful thing. So
thank you.
Lauren, I thought you were gonna make a psychological comment on the fact that someone made 3 planners.
I was gonna get into that too, but we don't have time. We don't have time to address that.
No, I'm right there with you. Yeah.
So I was really happy to be a part of this for a lot of reasons. I had wanted to do something with bookbinding. Emily, I know you've been doing this for a long time and I've helped you out with some programs, and it's been an interest of mine on the back burner. And then I got thinking about what my planner should look like. I thought about taking a very systematic approach and putting, check boxes for the 14 things I try to do every single day. And I thought, oh boy, that sounds exhausting and not very much fun. And then I thought back to an old website that was around 20 years ago that was an animated check vocabulary page. And so each day had a different, very simple black and white illustrated animation of a check word. So I decided to, also when I was a kid, I always wanted to have my own holidays. And while I didn't make up my own holidays for this planner, I did go back and look through history to find when people who have inspired me were born or when they died, or other events that I really like to commemorate. I went online and I watched the first bookbinding video that I could find. And it's by someone online named C. Lemon. I think her name is Jennifer. And I watched that video, followed her tutorial. And so I think it was the Coptic stitch. That doesn't mean a lot to me, but it does, I'm sure, to Emily. So this is the book that I bound. I followed her advice. which is to rip the pages out of a pad and then take the backing, cut it in half, and then fold the paper over to make signatures. So I just bound it using the Coptic stitch.
Oh man,
It's hard,
way to go, first time bookbinding. Like
but
that's
you know
amazing.
what? You have to tighten the threads as you go.
Mhm.
And that, I don't think that was in the video. You can't wait and tug on the whole thing later.
That's why I had to do this all in one sitting.
Yeah, oh man.
Sure.
So, and it's not that forgiving, you know, it's not like normal thread where you can just like feed the needle back through the other way if you do it wrong, you're done. So it tightened up a little bit as I went. That was nice. So what I decided to do is, this is for today's date. It's the 6th, and at the top it has the day of the week, which you can see I already made some mistakes. I thought it was Tuesday, but it's really Wednesday. And neither whiteout nor a white Posca pen covers this cheap, crappy pen that I've got. Who knew why? And then I just put some dates at the top. Famous Russian composer was born, Earl Scruggs, banjo wizard, a Czech linguist, and today's my wedding anniversary. So I've got that up there.
All right.
And then I started drawing a picture of a pineapple and then wrote ananas Czech there, and I'm gonna finish coloring it in later on. So that's really my journal / planner story for the year. And this is just January.
Cool.
That's cool. And
I
then
hear.
you can reuse those covers and you can just bind, and then you can have like a giant fat book, kind of like Lauren's at the end of the year.
I was gonna say, practice makes perfect, right? So if you choose to first of all train your brain to remember the days of the week and what day it is, that's huge. Okay, and number 2, like you're going to practice binding Coptically, like potentially 12 times this year. That would be something. I know you didn't advertise that you do that, but I like this direction that we're kind of gently pressuring you into going with this. Very cool.
Thanks. I also thought about starting each month with a blank page and just scribbling on it, because I didn't want to make a piece of art. I wanted to get over the hump of thinking I had to do something beautiful and wonderful, but making a mistake on which day of the week it was already kind of took care of that for me. You know,
It's all good.
it was a lot of work to bind that,
Oh yeah.
and I did just want to use it instead of having stacks of unused nice paper.
Are you like each day like looking for certain things, or have you mentioned about like the dates, the commemorating different people and different meaningful events, or are you doing that a month in advance, or?
Every day I just look at Google, you
Cool.
know, each day, and there are a lot of years and dates and events on there for every day. But it's kind of fun to go through and think, well, let's see, is Nicolas Cage, is he dear enough to include? Nope, he
That's
didn't
going into
quite
the
make
no.
cut.
Okay.
But Earl Scruggs, he's in there.
Yeah.
You guys are so creative. So I mean, we've already talked about this to a certain extent, but it's right. It's clear that we all created planners that are not planners in a traditional sense. That that we are mostly concerned with documenting this year rather than being like, this is what's going to happen this year. But one, like, do you think that this coronavirus is going to permanently change how we plan? Is this something that we're going to be doing for the rest of our lives? just because we now know that not the planners ever did live up to reality, but like they really don't live up to reality right now. And also like how do you envision yourself using your planner when there is like inevitable, I mean, who knows what coming up?
I think I'm using mine as inspiration to keep me drawing and being creative. A lot of other people in my, well, there are two other people in my house, often doing creative, fun things. And I'm often jealous of being able to do those. I would like to say that coronavirus has taught me a lesson about things, but unfortunately, I'm pretty stuck in my drive to get every single thing done every day. My wife asked me if I had any New Year's resolutions, and I said, honestly, I have New Year's resolutions every single day when I wake up. Today is the day I'm going to get it all done, and both in my job and in my personal life and creatively and everything. So I'm really stuck in that mindset, and even coronavirus didn't really shake that up, unfortunately.
That's not necessarily such a bad mindset to wake up and feel that sense of possibility. I think
That's very polite.
And I do like, I'll throw out a more general comment. I think that all three of you are imposing at least a slight structure to, some structure to your planner and your approach to the planner. And it is inspiring me to maybe rethink my I don't know. Well, I'll just, fold some computer sheets of paper together, staple them, and see what happens. I mean, maybe I'll do something a bit more structured upon, thinking about what you all are doing. Because I think that's a good thing to have, like a designated place where I unfurl my Turkish map folder, I find like my sticky note in the back pocket or whatever, and just go, yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing that really matters to me. That helps me live with a level of intention. And so to answer your big questions, or to at least provisionally try, like, I think as far as for me, I feel also still in sort of like the hamster wheel of like, what is this? What is time? I mean, I haven't stopped to really think about the nature of that before much in my life, sadly. So yeah, I think that this moment of time, this pandemic, does make me think about just the limitations that it places on life. Can maybe just allow me to like drop them and go, okay, well, here's what I can focus on. Here's what I do know that I love to draw. I do know that I love to sort of like create a record of either stuff I'm watching and I'm like scribbling away or doodling as I'm watching a cool documentary or whatever, or TV show. I'll have those things, or like I'm creating a birthday card for a nephew and like I'll write his name out a bunch of different times and I'll go, oh yeah, that was the card that turned into that. Like that's all here encased in this. And this isn't really an answer to your question.
I think it actually is.
Gosh, just kind of like what Lauren said, like listening to everyone share what they came up with, and how they want to approach planning throughout the year has also inspired me to like think about, the flexibility of like what I want in my planner, but also, I don't know, some of the themes that I'm thinking about. So on a personal level, I'm trying to find ways to appreciate beauty. And that kind of like helps me to, counter any like uncertainty like that I might be feeling. So like, I really appreciate, Emily, you sharing about the paper, because like, oh gosh, I just love a beautiful piece of paper. And then another thing I'm thinking about is like trying to bring a little bit more humor into things. So like, I love, Christopher, that you were talking about, like just scribbling on the like first page of the month. And like, I like drawing beautiful things, but like sometimes it's almost like, I used to play The Sims, and I would spend so much time trying to like build the house. And then once I was done, I would like, didn't want to play anymore. And I don't want that to stop me from actually using my planner, that kind of mentality. So I love that idea of like just scribbling over the first page, and like that it doesn't need to be perfect kind of mentality, to like get into the creative process. So I think like, I don't know, I feel like this year for me has made me kind of rethink like how I want to approach my planning. I don't know if like on a societal level, like we will all like have like such a big shift. Because we still have the daily grind. Time is still ticking by, which is, I kind of think, why I wanted a little bit of structure in my planner too, to like kind of honor that as well.
I think that sometimes, just as an organism, things happen to you and you do not forget them. And I think that this is just one of those where and I guess what I'm trying to do is, I think there's a way in which we could come away from this experience, which of course has been terrible and catastrophic, as just kind of like hurt, traumatized people, and just be like, I'm never going to plan for the future because I don't know. Or we could come away from it and be like, yes, I accept that I don't know. I'm still going to try to plan moving forward, but I'm also going to put more of an emphasis on the day-to-day, and put more of an emphasis on actually pausing and looking at the cycles in my life. Like, I love this idea of yours, Molly, and I'm definitely going to incorporate it into what I'm doing. And just taking it a day at a time, like everybody is here. Like, I think there's so much value in that. So I don't know, like, obviously 3 planners is a lot. I'm probably not going to be working with all of them all the time. I'm not going to give myself a complex about it. But I love having a place for anywhere I need to have an idea, or something I need to remember, that it's got an appropriate place to be.
I want to also draw like what you were talking about, Lauren, like keeping a record of like being so open to like what will happen. And I think that's such a cool experiment. I'm going to try to take that mindset with me. And
definitely. It's nice to like think that there's like a little repository at the end waiting for you, like,
I think like all 3, I mean, I wish I drew more than I did. I really don't, but I think all 3 of you are going to have like a really nice like collection of art at the end of the year.
Maybe we should plan to check in 1 year from now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just
Okay, well, like that, well, actually I'll put it in my planner. And we can start planning it in November. Okay, well, thank you guys so much. This has just been amazing, inspirational, great conversation. So thank you so much for doing this with me.